Well, in a shocking twist of fate, a video game movie turned out to be bad. I'm not a huge video game guy, but I enjoy Uncharted. They're a series of fun, exciting, charming adventures. But video game movies tend to take some creative liberties with their source material, to say the least, and this one doesn't really work on its own or as an adaptation. The biggest problem is that Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg are severely, almost embarrassingly miscast as Nathan Drake and Sully, and not the characters from the games, just the characters in this script. They never even really feel like characters, though. It just feels like two actors wearing their own clothes and running around various sound stages while trying to portray a sense of wonder or moral ambiguity, both of which are never once believable. Simply put, this movie feels like the poster child for bland, inoffensive corporate slop. Honestly, the most interesting thing about this movie is that with this much money and effort and work clearly on display, it makes such a minimal impression. The action is decent at best, although it is kind of embarrassing that every single big sequence in this $120 million blockbuster is completely outclassed by a PS3 game from 10 years ago. Also, it's very weird that Nathan Drake's primary weapon in this is like a cocktail mixer. Whose call was that?
Oh my god!
I shouldn't have come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
The comedy or attempts at comedy are just exhausting. The side characters are unremarkable. The villains are nonsensical. Even the central adventure and all of the exotic locations the characters go to, which you could argue is the point of a movie like this, don't really get a chance to shine. Because the only goal of the story appears to be to get Tom Holland either shirtless or wet as often as possible. And that makes sense because when you really think about it, Uncharted is not meant to function as a story about Nathan Drake. Really, it's more like a vehicle for Tom Holland to prove that he can play more than just dorky teenage Spider-Man, and much like the last time he tried to prove that and break that typecast, I don't buy it. And the only other reason he would be so clearly miscast is because Tom Holland plus Sony IP worked really well the first time, at least financially, so why not do it again? So yeah, overall, I would not recommend Uncharted to fans of the game or really anyone else. Metaphorically and somewhat literally, this movie is like a fart in a hurricane, you know? It's just nothing. To be fair, I do think this movie will play much better to an audience of people who know nothing about the games and just want a breezy action movie with Tom Holland. It does give you that, but for me, it was just a pastiche of narrative and aesthetic ideas that, again, were done much better on the PS3 over a decade ago.
What's with the cat?
She's just for you.
What?
Life seems super sad.
I'm not gonna keep this thing.
Exclusively in movie theaters.